Hello, aspiring coders. This is video 1 of learning how to code for FTC by Robotenheimer. And today we're going to install Android Studio and learn how to make a GitHub repo for FTC. So you're going to start by going to Google and searching up Android Studio download, which is here. And then you're going to click this first link. Wait for it to load. And then there should be a download Android Studio. So for me, it's Meerkat. For you, it might be a later version, probably later in the alphabet and probably another silly animal. And then once you click this, you're going to go to the bottom. And then here it says Intel or Apple. If you know your chip, you can just click the correct one. But if you do not, go to the top left corner, click About This Mac, and see that this says Apple M3. That means it's an Apple chip. If it says Intel or anything after Intel, it's going to be an Intel chip. And then you just click the correct one, and you're installing.
Okay, once you're to this point, you're going to go over to Google and search up GitHub. It'll be this one right here at the top. And you're going to sign up and just put in your information right here. So just solve a visual puzzle. And then check your email and continue on past this point. Just sign in and it should bring you here.
Okay, so before we can actually create our repository, I think you guys need a quick little explanation of GitHub. So we use GitHub so that we can collaborate with multiple coders and we can upload it onto the code. It's a safe storage place for all of our code. And it works essentially by allowing you to push or upload code to the GitHub repository, which is the shared space where the code is stored. And then only actively when you want to do so. So you don't push bad changes or unwanted changes in general. And then when you are starting to work on a project or when someone else has made an update to the code, you can pull the code or update the code, which will take the code from the GitHub repository and store it on your personal computer. And so moving on from that, first we have to figure out which base you want to go from when you're making your own repository. So what that means is there's a standard FTC robot controller made by the game managers, which will contain just the very basic ability to control your robot and some sample code for sensors and driving. And then there are autonomous quick start repositories. So before we cover the autonomous quick start, we have to talk a little bit about autonomous itself. So during autonomous, there are two parts that are very difficult. First is determining where your robot is, which is called localization, and how precisely you can move it between points, which is called pathing. And these are both very difficult, and for that reason, most teams will use software developed by other FTC teams like Roadrunner or Pedro pathing. And these softwares will generally come with a quick start repository. And in these tutorials, we will be using Pedro pathing for autonomous sections, but we recommend asking your senior coders and your mentor for the current best softwares, and additionally, looking at other FTC teams, especially the ones that were recently at Worlds, and either emailing them or looking at their GitHub pages to determine what softwares they use. And from that, you can determine what the best software is at that current time, because these videos will quickly become outdated. But no matter what software you use, they will most likely have a quick start repository. And these quick start repositories will contain the FTC robot controller, but also all of the setup for the pathing and localization softwares, making it a lot easier for you to start this process. And that's why we recommend using a quick start repository. The only thing to be careful of is to make sure that your quick start repository matches the FTC controller version. So you're just going to look at right here where it says FTC controller, v whatever the number is, and then look at your FTC controller and make sure that they have the same version number. Okay, now that that's out of the way, there are two ways you can make a repository. You can either fork it, which is easier, but your code is going to be public and there's nothing you can do to change that. Or you can make your own repository and copy in all the files. That'll be slightly more difficult, but that allows you to have more control in a private repository. And at this point, you can skip to the chapter that has the method that you want to do, or you can just watch them all and hear us talking for a little bit longer. That's a wrap.
Repository, it's pretty simple. You just go to the repository you want to fork, in our case, just FTC robot controller. You might want to fork the quick start for a localization. You'll just go over here, you'll press fork, and then you'll just make a different name for it. Let's just say FTC robot controller, Robotenheimer, or 2 R's, I guess that works too. You can add a description if you want to, you don't need to at all. And then you'll just do this, and you'll press create fork. Just wait a bit. And then you'll have your own fork. This is it. It's still public, as you can see, because of the fork. And you can see that it's forked from First Tech Challenge's FTC robot controller. And then you can use this repository to do whatever you want with it. So if you want to make a private repository, you'll first need to download the zip file from over here, as you can see. And then you'll go back to the main page, and you'll go over here and click New. Then you'll name the repository whatever you'd like. In this case, I'll just call it, I don't know, private, I guess. And then you'll set it to private because you want a private one. And then you'll click Create Repository. So in order to get the files in, you'll click upload. You want to upload an existing file, and then you'll go like this, and you'll drag the files you downloaded into the repository. This thing only takes 100 files at once, so if you have more than that, you'll have to drag them separately. In this case, you can probably just drag an FTC robot controller because that has the most files in it. So you can just drag that in first and then drag the rest of it in separately, and that should allow you to do it. So once it finishes uploading these files, when it finishes uploading these files, you'll go to the bottom and you'll click Commit Changes. It'll take a bit to process your files. And then you'll have your private repository with all your code in it. As you can see, this is the same code. And then, see, it's private. So then if you want to get it into Android Studio, you want to copy the URL like this, and then go into Android Studio and click Clone Repository, and then paste the URL in right here. You'll click Clone, it'll take it to clone, you can just trust the project, and then it'll come up. And then you'll have to give it a second to sync the Gradle. As you can see at the bottom, it says importing FTC robot controller Gradle project. And then when it's all done, you'll have your code in Android Studio, and you're free to do as you'd like with it.